listening to the real.
Man, I appreciate them dudes for talking about
the raw. Wait, they were talking about the relatable.
That's exactly what I've been going through.
The Relentlessly Real podcast.
Welcome to the Relentlessly Real podcast, where we discuss real, raw, and relatable topics.
Hey.
Thank you for taking time to listen to our podcast today. Let's kick this off with some introductions. My name is Jonathan Jones.
I am Terrence Robinson.
And Mike Williams.
Yo, how are you guys doing today? Like, how y'all feeling? What's going on?
I'm doing great. I just got back from Mexico, so nice. I'm actually doing really, really good.
You are? Yeah, you should be.
And I'm already ready to go on another trip.
When did you get back?
Wednesday. We were there for 5 days.
And we're shooting this on Saturday. So you were there for 5 days?
I was there for 5 days.
Wow.
And I went back to work on Friday.
Whoa, you went to work on Friday?
I went to work on Friday.
Man,
that's stupid.
It's supposed to be off, but I went to work.
What kind of vacation is that?
Listen. Trying to see these vacation
the kind
days.
That you gotta go back to work and shut up.
Yes.
Yeah. What about you, Mike? What's going on with you, bro?
Just everyday life, man. One day at a time. That's all we promise. So
yeah,
that's all I'm gonna do. Is one day at a time.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I've gone with that method. I'm like, you know what? I can't stress about everything. I gotta just deal with whatever's happening right now. Yeah, and today, what's happening right now? I have to hold my mic. If you're not watching, on YouTube,
he's not praying.
I'm not praying to Jesus. I'm actually holding my mic today because I left my stand. So that's gonna be a little bit difficult, tricky of a day, but we're gonna keep it moving. Today we're gonna talk about being black in America and what that looks like for us. But aside from even that, Mike's gonna start us off with our trending topic. So hit it, Mike.
All right. So today's trending topic is about DJ Cooper, basketball player that has played overseas for some time. Let's see. So he recently got suspended. Not from doing drugs, not from, beating up nobody, getting into a fight or anything like that. He got suspended for not passing his drug test, which ultimately came back as him being pregnant.
Wow. Congratulations.
Because the caption says pregnant with a guy.
Dude. So basically what ended up happening was, instead of submitting his own urine sample, he submitted his girlfriend's or a female friend's urine sample, Which turned out to have HCG high levels.
I don't know what the acronym is.
Yeah, that's basically, in a nutshell, that's the levels that doctors use to tell whether you're pregnant or not.
Right.
All this stuff is done within the placenta, the uterus, all that other stuff.
I don't want to know.
On, Mike.
But go ahead, Mike, for knowing the women
parts.
parts.
Could be all wrong, and we're like,
right.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I'm proud of him though.
Well, no, I'm trying to learn about this stuff as we're in this phase of,
all right,
trying to get ready for.
You did better than me because I didn't know where things came from.
I have too, and I still don't know where did that kid come from again.
Yeah. Did you? Side note: did you see your wife as the babies was coming? Did you see?
I saw the first one.
You didn't. What happened?
I did not watch
with London?
I don't remember.
Where were you for your daughter's
I was there,
birth?
but I was there. I was in the room, but I think at that point I was more so making sure Tanisha was okay. So I didn't really
I don't know. I don't think it's okay to not be in a room.
I was in the. I said I
was in the room.
I just said I was in the room. I just wasn't standing placenta view.
Okay, placenta view. Okay, that's valid. I wasn't in. I was in the room, and I remember my mother-in-law was like, "Oh my God!" Like, look, because she was standing, in between Javia's legs, like looking as the baby was coming out. She's like, oh my goodness, this is like kind of getting excited. So I was like, man, what does she see? I want to see it. I gotta experience it. And I peeked my head around that corner, bro.
You wish you could just take your eyes
back. Like, yo, God, take my eyes. I don't want to see that ever again. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
And the fact that it snaps back into place, hats off.
Let me tell you something. I questioned whether I would be able to get back around there in that area. Like, I was like, after seeing that, we're done. This is it.
I can only imagine, man, at this point. Like, I don't know what I would do. Granted, no, I'm not going to be that guy that has a video camera or, photography or nothing like that in that moment. But it's something that I would want to see. Because I feel like You need to.
You want to see it.
Like,
Yeah.
you want to see it. Just for your understanding, whether it's
You can
good, bad,
understand
and forget-
theoretically without having to see it, like with your own
Once
eyes.
was
though.
enough. I didn't have to see the second. Once was enough.
I feel you. If we have like 2 or 3, I'm like, I'm good.
But DJ is pregnant, so he's
Right.
he's
Right.
about to.
Yeah.
So what did they say? What did they say was going to happen? They just suspended him.
Yeah, they just suspended him. I haven't done much
for 1
research
year.
yet after that.
Oh, for 1
He's
year.
eligible in June 2020
Wow.
Dang, yo.
Yeah.
For being
for
pregnant.
being pregnant.
He's not even pregnant.
Yo,
He's
he
still.
has to be donkey of the year. Like,
Yeah, you're
not
an
just
idiot.
day. Like this.
He's like, babe,
Of all the-
can you go ahead and pee for me?
Now, if his girlfriend is pregnant and that was her urine sample, that's a heck of a way to find out that your
That
girlfriend's
you're
pregnant.
wait till you're sitting down 10 years later telling that story to your kid. Like, yeah, we've actually found out because I had to do a test for them. Was it FIBA?
But who doesn't think about this stuff?
Fever.
Like, if I'm gonna take somebody's urine, can it be a dude?
Why wouldn't it be a dude?
I do all your homies smoke weed too? Like,
You don't know anybody that could have did that test for you that
all
wasn't.
his homies do drugs. So
That's-
They all do them
hilarious.
together.
they all do them. So.
That's hilarious, yo.
Well, he knew she didn't because she's pregnant. So, but light bulb, like
Well, we hope she didn't because she could easily be out here smoking
she
weed
could,
and whatever.
She could be.
But he trusted her to do the test, so that nonetheless. So anyway, today we're going to talk about being black in America, the trials, the tribulations, the good, the bad, the ugly. There are a lot of, ways we could jump into this topic. I actually kind of saw a clip not long ago. Essentially what the clip had, stated was that a boy was basically shot at, excuse me. He woke up late for school. And he went to go knock on a neighbor's door as he was going, like not a neighbor's door, but he was late for school, woke up and, was like going to school, I guess, and walking to school. And along the way of walking to school, he essentially got lost because he's young. He's like 14, 15 years old. So when he, got lost, he ended up, knocking on a door, hopefully a neighbor's door to figure out, okay, how do I even, get to school? Like, can you show me direction wise? How do I get to school? So he knocks on the door. A woman comes down the stairs or whatever. And she's like, why are you trying to rob me? And he's just like, I'm not trying to rob you. I'm just trying to figure out how to get to school. I don't know. I'm lost. I've lost my way, whatever. And then a guy comes down the stairs not long after. And basically they have an encounter about whatever's going on. And the guy, the black boy ends up running away, from the house because the guy tries to shoot him for trying to quote unquote rob the house. So, this is a young 14-year-old black boy. Again, his mom, was speaking on his behalf in the clip. If you see a clip, I might drop the clip in a link below. But in the clip, his mom talks about like, we just want justice for, like, why would you shoot somebody just for trying to figure out how to get to school? Like the boy had no idea, what was going on. Like he was just trying to get to school. And for someone to assume, off the onset, like just from somebody just from ringing the doorbell. Like, first of all, if I'm trying to rob you, I wouldn't ring the doorbell. Like, what am I guess if I'm trying to just see if somebody's home before, robbing them, I'm guessing that would be what the strategy. But like, if you're really trying to rob somebody, you're breaking and entering without question. You're not ringing the doorbell or knocking. So the person, he said that he actually knocked on the door and took a step back. Nobody came to the door, and then knocked on the door again or rang the doorbell and took a step back again. And then she finally came to the door and basically off the beginning was like, why are you trying to rob me? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it speaks to the preconceived notion before we ever say a word, before we ever, can speak on our own behalf, our skin color comes before anything else. And I just kind of wanted to, see what y'all thoughts were about that encounter and, how y'all feel about that as a black man growing up in America.
So so going back to the description of like what happened, right, within the scenario, think about it from a practical sense. If I'm thinking like a criminal, right, I'm not going to try to rob you through your front door and ring your doorbell. If anything, I'm going through the back where can't nobody see me and, try to be as discreet as possible. So the whole story, and this is based off of what the news has given us, right? What media has presented to us. We don't know the entire story and everything like that, so we got to take that into consideration too with any type of scenario. But when it comes down to like just being black in America, man, it's such a loaded situation. I think I'm still just trying to gather, like, the fact that he was running away and old boy still shot at him. Like, there are several laws out there that tell you, hey man, if they're running away and you shoot at them, that could potentially be, that's on you,
right,
as the owner of the house.
Yeah.
if they have crossed that threshold, that's somewhat justification. And once they do the investigation and everything like that, if he's caught running away and gets shot in the back, and the coroner or whatever does all of that investigation, they will ultimately, you would think they will ultimately rule that as, hey, he was running away. This is your fault. You should have been more responsible as a, someone that carries a gun or whatever, as far as using it.
Hopefully. I mean, I just saw, there was a video of a girl who got jumped in a Walmart. She was getting jumped by some girls. And she had a concealed carry permit, and she had a license to carry, and she had a license to carry, and she had the gun. And in the midst of her getting attacked, she went for her gun and went out, and she went to shoot at the people. But like you said, because she went and followed them and shot again, that's why they charged her. Yeah, because she followed them throughout the store and went after him again. So she's of course saying self-defense, But right now, she's got charges pending in that case because she went and followed him. And so, but again, once again, she was black, and it's mighty funny how the story is. It's often different, if it's a different race, and that's just the facts. I mean, just in my opinion, if this was a white person and it was getting attacked by black people, it wouldn't matter if they went and followed that person and started shooting. They're gonna say it was self-defense, and it was justified for shooting those people, and so.
But I think that you're kind of like teetering on the point of it all, right? So it seems like before we say anything, they're feeling threatened, right? So like a lot of times, when there's been so many black men, boys that have been killed and gunned down due to police brutality or what have you. But what you'll often find is that they're always saying, I felt threatened for my life. I felt like my life was in danger. And that validates the shooting, right? So for me, it's like, if you feel threatened before I say a word, or even if I'm not coming at you, even if I'm running away, in what circumstance don't you feel threatened? Because I'm saying, you are the police officer, you have the gun, and you're allowed to carry, and you're allowed to shoot me if you feel like your life is in danger. For me, there's nothing to protect me in those situations. Like I'm telling you, I didn't mean to do whatever, or if I'm sorry, or if I'm but in most cases, like, it doesn't matter whether you're sorry. It doesn't matter if you told me to reach for my registration and I go to do what you tell me to do, and you're on edge. You're trigger ready. You know what I'm saying? So that speaks to, before I even can allow you to know that I'm not this big black man that's ready to kill you. I'm not even allowed to be who I am in those spaces, because you shoot me down before I get there.
So I'm playing devil's advocate. Is there any truth? Do we think there's any truth in being afraid of, like, even as a black person? Like, are there certain neighborhoods that you won't go in? Are there certain, like, if you heard the story before, like, if I'm at the bank machine and somebody comes up close,
Yeah.
Will my reaction change if they're a white person or a black person?
Let me tell you something. I am probably I believe in that 100%. Like, I'm scared of black people. I'm not even afraid to say it. There's certain, I hate to say that, but let's be real. You go in, you go in the wrong parts of the city, the wrong parts of the hood or whatever, and I can see why people are scared of us. I'm not trying to be funny. Because we have this, I mean, it's cool and swag and all that good stuff, but at the same time, it's like, I know you'll kill me, black man, from one black man to another. You'll be like, oh, he got it, and I want it, and I'll take it. You know what I mean? So there's a certain level of black on black fear, to be honest, too. Like, but at the same time, for what about me, who is a black man, that I don't feel like you should have a reason to fear me. But because I'm just black and you associate me with everything bad black, then I'm gunned down off the break. You know what I mean? But I do understand I do get why people can be scared of us, because I've seen us in action.
Yeah. And I think with me, I've had to train myself over the years to have a overall situational awareness, not just off of like skin color, but knowing what to look for, certain actions that somebody's giving off, certain demeanors, stances, things like that can be intimidating, whether, white, black, whoever, these are the things that I'm starting to look for now. So for instance, if I'm at an ATM and I see somebody kind of, coming up behind me, they get the mirrors on the ATMs now, so you can kind of see behind you or whatever that. But if I see somebody behind me and they're just kind of like, they keep looking around, they're kind of fidgeting and stuff like that, that's signs of like tension or, just nervousness and stuff like that. Those are the certain things that I'm starting to look for now. You got somebody that's kind of, fidgeting, kind of looking around, just kind of checking this around to see who's watching. It's just like, all right, dude, calm down. We both at the ATM. What you keep jumping for?
Yeah.
So it's things like that I'm starting to look for, rather than, from a perspective of, what we've seen in the past with even, people of our own skin color. I agree with you though. I've been that way. Yeah. I've been that way in the past. Like I go around certain neighborhoods and, whether I had neighborhood beef with them or with my neighborhood, right, or, whether I know that area to be, just hostile as far as like the different crimes and everything like that, it's either, I'm going to keep it moving. I'm going to go in wherever I got to go, come right out, go to my car, keep it moving, or just don't go at all. But, in this day and age, you got to have an overall situational awareness, man. It don't matter,
because it can catch you slipping anywhere. Yeah. That's the thing. And I'm like, I've grown around that culture for so long, being in the Suitland and there's just the area we live in is like Suitland and District Heights, whatever. And in those areas, there's impoverished individuals, and so if I'm rolling, I mean, I used to own a Mercedes, right, and I remember times when I was driving that car and I'm riding around and I've got my music blasting and I would feel uncomfortable. I would lower the music because I'm like, if I'm rolling through the wrong neighborhood, people just looking at you because you blasting your music and you flashing. Yeah. And they're like, yo, this nigga think, I mean, not excuse my language, but he think he got that, and they're coming after you off of that. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, whatever they deem, a reason to come after you, they just do it. And so I agree, you have to be hyper vigilant, but it's sad that within the black culture, we'll do it to each other in a heartbeat without thinking. We'll do it to other cultures or other ethnicities, but like more than anything, not even ethnicities, more so races, but more than anything, we'll really come after, each other sometimes. And I think that's something we have to speak to as well.
Yeah. Poverty is poverty. So the mindset of, okay, I'm struggling, I'm gonna go out here and get it however I can get it. That ain't racial. That's anybody that's hurt.
That's true.
Yeah, anybody that's hurting and they try and, just make a living, or they just trying to, take what they can just cause. That's beyond race, man. That's just a mindset in general, and that's a matter of the heart for anybody. Think about the folks that's, forget, trying to rob somebody or whatever like that. Think about the folks that have walked into Walmart and shot up an entire Walmart.
Yeah.
That wasn't a skin color thing. That was just
why I agree with you, but why are most of the black community in impoverished areas?
That's an easy one.
Go ahead. Easy.
So historically, there is a reason why minorities, everything goes back to slavery. And so, and whenever I hear people who try to counter that, we can't even have a conversation. One of the people who I follow is D.L. Hughley, his show on social media, and he has a great show, and I think he had someone on there to talk about the fact that America has yet to come grips with. We can't move from the past because we're not honest about the past. And there's so many people who do not even understand how the slave trade has an impact on today's culture and or today's society.
Okay, be specific. In what sense?
So case in point, I remember when I was at Towson, This is when my eyes kind of got open. I was having a conversation with some students in Towson, who don't know, is a white university, so it is diverse, but the majority of students who go there are white, so it's not an HBCU, and so topics about race come up quite often. And I was in the class, and we were having this same debate, and I said that, well, slavery is a reason why things are today is slavery. He said that's not true. I said, okay, so let's bring down the pipe. What college did your parents go to? And he said, his parents went to some school, whether it was Duke or Johns Hopkins. I said, well, my mom went to Morgan. Okay, my mom has a degree, cool, which is still rare. I said, my dad never went to college. What about your dad? Okay, cool. Where'd your grandma go to school? Like, where'd your grandparents go to school? He starts naming another school. He said, well, my grandparents couldn't go. My grandma graduated from college when she was 50 something because she couldn't go to school. It was off limits. Where'd your great grandparents go to school? And you see where this story went. He kept naming schools. And I said, well, my great grandparents were slaves. They couldn't own property. They couldn't own anything. So if you narrow down just the wealth, like one culture has already started with one foot in front of the other one. And so you can follow that to the establishment of the ghettos and the establishment of black communities, of white lining, like not allowing certain groups in certain communities. All those things stem from slavery. And so
Are we really going to continue to use slavery as the crutch as to why the black community is not?
You have to acknowledge it, though. Watch this. I'm not saying that we can't move from it. The problem is that it's
what does
not
acknowledging it do?
So, but the question is, why is it like that? That's the reason why.
Why is what like that? Impoverished? Because I'm saying, why are the black communities, or why is it impoverished communities are, in my opinion, predominantly black?
I think it's beyond just slavery. It's a part of it.
It's a huge part, though.
It's a huge part. Yes, it needs to be acknowledged, but I think it comes to institutionalized racism, like the systems and stuff that have been put in place since slavery was a thing. Those systems that have been put in place that cause us to be in the area that we're in now, the mindset that we're in now.
Yes.
Is any of it our fault? Is my question, though.
We do have some responsibility.
Just staying in it is our fault.
Yes.
The cause of it, I'm saying no. But to stay in it is our fault.
Okay.
Before we even got here, before, when slavery was a thing, there was a system put in place where certain people will be on top as long as there's a mindset that people exist to have less.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you kind of get what I'm saying with that?
No.
So, as long as the folks that were here before us,
mm-hmm.
right, or the colonizers, right,
mm-hmm.
when they got here, they had this mindset that we always need to stay on top. And what do we need to do? What mindset or system do we need to put in place to ensure that we stay on top as long as somebody is existing to always have less? So if you have that overall mindset, these systems and stuff are now put in place. Slavery is one of them. Another one would be like, even think about modernized, right? So you put in a impoverished area, you got your liquor stores and corner stores and things like that. You sell things like hot Cheetos and Takis, right? Y'all know about those.
I know about Takis.
Foods.
I don't know about Takis.
It's a big thing right now.
Yeah,
Is Takis a chip?
Yeah,
hot Cheetos has been a thing. Takis is another form of hot Cheetos.
Okay, what's the thing correlated to that?
So correlating to that is the opioids that it activates and stuff in your mind. That forms an addiction. The more you eat those things, the more you gain an addiction for it, and it starts to have your the health effects. And where do you see those things majority? You see them in the corner stores, the liquor stores, in impoverished areas.
I thank you for saying that, because I love that you said that, and that point is so important. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna tell you why. I went to I was in Tyson's corner area, like that Sedity, area a little bit. And so I was like, man, I was hungry and I don't usually eat Burger King, but I was like, I want Burger King. I want a specific thing from Burger King. Yeah. So I'm in Tyson's and I put Burger King in my, map finder, like, yo, let me, whatever ways. The closest Burger King was 20 minutes away. Now, if I put Burger King in my phone right now, it'll be 2 minutes away. It's like 2 to 5 minutes away from here. So I believe in that. Jovita and I talk about, my wife and I talk about that often, right? Where near our neighborhoods and where we live in a somewhat affluent area of Maryland. But even with that being the case, there's not a salad area, and that's food industry. It literally is like Checkers, Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, like, and so, and I'm looking at the correlation like this. If the closest things to us are fried, foods and unhealthy products, and then currently right now, I was experiencing having to be in the hospital to see my grandmother was a little bit ill, and predominantly in those hospitals, those rehab centers, guess what you see? Black people. So many of us, and then not only if we don't see them in the hospital, you see that they're overweight, you see that they do not exercise, and they still killing them Cheetos. Okay. And they're killing those fries. I mean, I'm guilty of it. Well, I think we've all at some point been guilty of it because a lot of it is cultural. So as I'm looking and evaluating now that I have a daughter who's 2 years old, or she'll be 2 years old soon, and I'm looking at her and I'm saying, okay, how do we stop this disease-ridden generational curse from occurring? It's how we raise our family members. What do we eat? What do we turn to for food and for nutrients? And it's a learned culture. Like, I learned how to eat based off of how my parents ate. And whatever they ate, I grew an affection for, and now I eat it. And now it may be, to some degree, certain things that I'm eating that will be the thing that are killing my organs. And so I will have to second that particular argument that yes, the food that's in and around the impoverished areas are almost strategically placed, because if you go to those more affluent neighborhoods, if you go to where the money is, you will see time and time again, they have the healthier choices. They have the more affordable, not so affordable, I should say, choices. So it's almost like they know you're not going to have a lot of money. They know you're not going to live in those areas where food is present that will be nourishment to you. And they know culturally you'll eat those things as a choice over eating salad and eating, healthier products. It's like, how, if that is my entire environment and everybody I see around me is either they're a drug dealer and they're, whatever in terms of like the social economic issues that pertain to those demographics, and then they eat certain things, and then and then we live in a impoverished neighborhood where we just steal from each other or we kill each other. How in the world are we supposed to ever have a culture that works together and builds together?
We're not. We got to come. So when I say we're not, that's not. I'm not saying it to downcast it. I'm saying it to say that we need to come out of that environment.
Like, it was purpose for that reason. It was created to make sure that we do not.
One of the major things one of the major heartaches I have as an educator is seeing students in seats in my office, and then not seeing those students anymore because they're dead, and then realizing that is going to repeat itself. Hearing my students, just hearing what they talk about, no, I want to punch him in his face. Why? Cause he talked about my mom, because that's what we do. So we're not going to talk about we're not talk about nothing. And it's just, no, I'm going to get my cousins. I'm going to get my the next thing you know, look, seriously, sure enough, I got the grandmas, I got the aunts up here. No, where's this student at? And so it's just this cycle of just.
What is that though? Like, what is that makes us feel like, no, I ain't gonna take that. I gotta come up there and I gotta show them X, Y, or Z. Like, what is that bravado, if you will, that kind of, I gotta flex on them.
Nobody wants to be taken advantage of. Nobody wants to be a pushover, but
why are we that way? Like, why is it just, like, is it just in us, like, as black people, to be like that way, aggressors, if you will?
Watch this. That's why you already talked about it before I'm gonna let him answer that. But the question is is that a black thing? Is that a race thing? Or is that a culture thing? Because most people think that those mean the same thing. And race and culture are two different things.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So
hit it, Mike. Hit us with the knowledge, Mike. I feel you. Yo, Mike over there stewing like he's
right?
ready to go ahead. Go ahead.
So, it stems into the mindset that we build culturally, right? And going back to racism, going back to slavery.
mm-hmm.
So we've gone through all this oppression, all this time, and now that we finally made it out, quote unquote, we've made it out. We have all these freedoms. Now we feel like we have a certain level of pride that we gotta protect ourselves. Even in this day and age, you know, with police brutality and everything like that, we're in this protection mindset that we always got to be on edge. So now when you have those systems built culturally to protect your own, protect your family, always on protection, always on guard, that builds a level of, I guess, distrust and anger towards anybody and everybody that disrespects you at that point.
And you know, with that comment, it almost leads into adulthood. It does, because it creates that crab in a barrel mentality, right? So like you already stated, like we want to protect what we have. Like even, you know, we all have families. And so if somebody were to in any way violate our environment, we're going to do what we need to do to protect it. Okay. But even aside from that, as we ascend this, economical, like, you know, we're getting better jobs, we're getting better, you know, making better career moves, and we're making more money. Why is it that we isolate ourselves once we make them more money and we never pull up others?
So I don't want to answer a question with a question.
Go ahead.
So here's my thing. Because you're talking about the whole crab in the barrel, like
crab in the barrel,
helping people out.
Yes,
there's two sides of that coin, because I look at what happened to Nipsey. Like here's Nipsey Hussle, who was trying to help his community,
right?
And his community ate him alive. And there are a lot of celebrities who are saying, a lot of rappers, a lot of celebrities were saying, this is why they're using it as a reason. This is why once you make it big, you gotta come out. You can go back and you can donate. You can go back and give. You can go back but you don't need to stay there.
Wow, that's a good argument.
You it because that your community will eat you alive, or it will end up killing you. Once you make it out the hood, don't leave.
Because we're jealous as a nature. You know what I'm saying? Like we can't allow someone else to win and we quote unquote lose. You know what I mean? Like we don't know how to
That's a matter of the heart, though. Like across races, across culture, whatever, right? Like that's not just us.
No, it's not. But I'm just saying we're the ones that do it, and we got to kill you about it. And I'm not saying this is not this. I don't know about other cultures. I'm not saying other cultures don't do that. I'm saying I know we do. You know what I'm saying? We are not like gonna let you be out here winning like the way you're winning and then come back home and be a hero. No, you're not gonna be that. Like you can win and leave, but you know, as long as we can talk bad about you when you're gone.
And there's so many. In my mindset, I think about Nipsey. I think about X, which I can't think of his name. X, because I don't.
DMX.
No, X Tenacion. I'm gonna say his name wrong because I don't really listen to him, but I know he was very influenced. He influenced a lot of young people.
Yeah.
Like I think about him. I think about these athletes. I think about the baseball player who got shot while he went back home.
People say it's a conspiracy. Do you believe that? Do you believe that it's like it beyond even the black community, like black on black? What do you think? Somebody was like, Nipsey's getting to whatever, like white people were like, yo, take him out type thing?
I don't believe that.
You don't believe in that?
I believe the fact that this is my personal opinion, which leads back to my point. One of the things I want to do with my students, and I don't know if it'll be done, but it's just, I want to take them out of their environment as much as possible.
Okay.
So that way they see that there's a life outside, and there's nothing wrong with Baltimore, but when your mind can only think that this is life. Yeah. And I think this is why I travel so much. Yeah. Which is why I want to go to Europe. I've been to Europe before. I want to go back. Why I go to different places to see that there is life outside of my little bubble. Yes. And that way my bubble is not
exposure.
It's just exposure. And a lot of us, because of money, they're not exposed to anything outside of their community. Exactly. So that's it. And I'm not from this area, but we we have stoops. We have like people, just the same people you see them. They were 10, 11, 12. They on the stoop. there's 40 years old, 60 years old, still on the same stoop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you had no urge to want to go beyond your community, like no goals, no
aspirations.
No aspirations to go beyond that. It was just, and my mind thinking was he exposed?
Why? And I know why a little bit, but why is that exposure piece so important? What does exposure do?
Because you gotta see something that's different to see all of your available options, right? If you see that just within your community, that's all you got, then you're going to try to, I guess, work with what you have. But if you see other people that got the cars, the clothes, all the different opportunities on how to do that, it opens your mind to, okay, not necessarily I can't because of, my current situation. It's like, how can I? Like, look,
and the truth be told, the exposure of the car and the jewelry and the women, that is a form of exposure, low level as it be. But as far as the community is concerned, for young people that are like, 10, 8, 10, 12, whatever, impressionable, that is the pinnacle of success. Yeah. You have reached like, if I could only just have the money and unlimited access to women and jewelry and cars or whatever,
just to drive around.
Only if I could just drive around the hood and blast my music. That is I remember that being a goal of mine.
Right.
I legitimately remember, like, I was getting a little bit older or whatever. I was like 16, 17 or maybe 18 or whatever. And my mom gave me her car. The car was slow as a mug, like a V4. The jump was so slow, but I was like, man, I was pressed. And all I wanted to do was just ride around the area and blast my music, because that's all I ever seen. And I thought when I was doing that, man, am I winning right now? Like I'm able to do this, and it felt like somehow to the level of like
mentality, right?
You felt like you made it. So I think that exposure piece is so big, because if you stay in your neighborhood, you don't notice there's nothing else.
And so that leads me to what leads me to the question about is this every black person? Is every black person out here trying to rob somebody? Is every black person out here trying to kill somebody?
Clearly not.
So what's the difference? Because and that's why when I think about the fear, when you see it, when people are afraid of black people, I want people to understand that certain people are some kind of way. It's not about their skin color. It's about a learned pattern of behavior. Culture is a learned pattern of behavior.
Here's my thing about this topic in general, though, is that I like what you already said was, slavery has set the foundation for this topic, right? And the part I want to make sure that we have at least conversation about is what's our ownership in this right now? Because there has to be, in order for us to have some true, moving forward efforts, and excluding reparations, excluding looking to get money back from the government. Yeah. Because even if we were given the money,
we wouldn't.
What would we do with it? So that's the thing we never seem to touch on as a culture. But aside from even reparations, I'm looking at the family dynamic of black communities that are impoverished, where we go as men, as black men, we find a woman that's got the big butt, big breasts, cute in the face, smash them, knock them up, get pregnant, and roll.
Out.
And that is a epidemic. If we were to literally hone in the numbers, metrics wise, we do that more than ever before, I feel like.
And I will tell you, just being in an inner city, multiple school system, it is higher than most races.
Yeah,
it is that's the thing. And so while I see slavery as being has not helped, has been more of a cause to poverty, it is not what's kept us in poverty. Yeah. It is not what has kept us. Now, yes, I like Mike's point about some of the institutionalized racism that happened after that, because that actually made it worse. And we're trying to come out of that. But a lot of the things, to John's point, is that we're actually keeping ourselves in it purposefully. And yes. We don't understand that. We don't understand that. But like a simple thing as a dad not raising his kids,
yes,
or a mom not raising their kids, is killing us, especially when it comes to education. If I take a poll in my classes that are gifted and talented, that have students who are in IB programs, and if I ask them how many of them, how many out of that poll are those students out of that class have both their mom and their dad, and not even if it's together, just active in their life, the numbers, hands would fly up. But if I take that same poll in my standard classes, the hands aren't as high. Most of them don't have two active parents in their life, and I'm not talking about together. That's what we can have a whole topic on, having a mom and dad together in the household. We're just talking about just being active in your child's life.
Yeah.
And black fathers they're just not active.
Yeah.
And
the male figure, the black male figure in the black household is so important to have, or pivotal to have in the household, just because of from a black man's perspective, a black boy's perspective. My mom can try to teach me all day how to do certain things that a man should do, but if I don't visually see that from a man, like an example on how that is supposed to be done, the mom reaches a limit. She reaches a limit that she can't surpass, because a man has to teach a man how to be a man.
Yes.
Straight up.
And I think daughters need that.
Yes.
Daughters also need their dads in their life,
because they need the example of how a man is supposed to be able to treat them.
Good dad. I mean, good dad, like good active. As I say, my conversation goes to like being actively integral to the part of your child's growth. And we're not talking about together, because I mean there are a lot of couples who aren't together, but both parents are so active in their life that you see why the child is flourishing. And don't take what I'm saying wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not saying if you're a single parent you can't raise. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it is a systematic problem in the black community that is tanking us.
It's not saying that a single parent can't do it. It's more saying this is the way it was designed to work.
Yes.
I think that's a better way of framing it.
And I'm just going to be straight and blunt. Why is it that a lot of my students who are in honor rolls and GTs and have the great grades, and that are black, we're talking about skin tone, right? Then that are black. Whenever I see a student who whose parents are from Africa, they generally do exceptionally well.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think it's because
they're not American. I mean,
the drive is different from other countries.
It's different. Like, it makes sense. Their parents, it's different. I'm calling America out. What is it about America that is almost tainting? Like,
oh yeah,
it's killing us.
Oh, don't get me started on that. Yeah, I'm about to say we're sport. We love. First of all, give us everything. That's part of the problem, right? So, in that lower social economic, and I'm making broad strokes right now, right?
Me too.
Please don't hold me to everything.
I got some data later,
but at the end of the day, we're in line to give our children J's. We're in line to give our children clothes and give our children, whatever they want at whatever point they want it, and we want to make sure that they have all the best of everything, right? So it's a little bit of a complex of we want them to have everything we didn't have. And there's another the other part is what they really need and what they don't have is legacy. So we want to give them, we're trying to give them what we can afford, which is what you really can't afford, right? So it's kind of a funny thing, because it's like, okay, if I give you all the clothes and shoes and stuff that you want, you say you want, you're happy, but you're not legacy driven. You're only like, I fit the moment, to fit the need. I made you happy. I made you pleased. But we're not thinking like down the road, around the corner, when you have your child, what will they have? So that legacy driven portion to me is like, man, like what is it about our culture? And I'm not going to lie to you. When I stopped working that full-time job and started being able to work my own business, it gave me the space to start having more introspective looks at my life. Before then, all of what I was doing, I felt was to be viewed as good enough as far as my circle. I wanted to be able to say, okay, John, look at John, or John, at least John has it together like I have it together. I want to fit in to the circle. But when I finally lifted my head up from working that full-time job and started saying, okay, like, what am I really trying to build here? Beyond the house, beyond the car, beyond the carpet. Huh?
What your vision look like, really?
Yeah, what's the overall what's the vision of the Jones family legacy, not just the Jones marital bliss between my wife and I. Like what's the 120 year like lineage that we're looking for my family. And it started. It's for me. I know we've spent a lot of time on this, but I feel like the topic is so good because it's really like, what are we gonna do? What John? No, not we. John, what are you gonna do? Because I feel like we always be we driven, and then have a bunch of we like we gonna take back America. And then we go back home and go watch TV and forget about everything.
But if you just change your household,
but if I just change my household and change my mindset, change my wife, change my child, and allow that to like kind of boil over to my relationships with my friends, then the next thing you know, we're changing culture.
And I'm gonna add something to that because so my mindset before when I was first as an educator, I always say, man. Because if you all know anything about education, it's a field that is dominated as far as educators, predominantly by white people, or most educators. Yeah. And if you really drill down, by white women, so something like 80% of teachers in America are white women. And meanwhile, most, as we know, the population of the students is changing. Yeah. And so, like my district alone is now the majority of students in Baltimore County are not white. It's extremely diverse. Okay. But yet the majority of educators are still white. That's not changing. Watch this. That's not changing. Yeah. And then I used to be like, well, why? We need to hire more black teachers. We need to hire more black teachers. Right. No, we don't, because we broke. No, we don't. My mindset changed this year drastically. Okay. And the reason why I thought about this is because education, and I'm an educator, is not a field that is very lucrative. It does not pay a whole lot at all. Right. And so I'm like, how it's going to be very impossible for our people to move forward if we all became educators. So follow where I'm going. I used to be like, yeah, I want more blacks, but not at the expense of us as a people not taking higher jobs that pay more, right? And that can move the family more. And I thought, to me, that yes, I would love black educators. Yes, if you want a job, I promise you I'll hire you. Right. As long as you are fairly decent, you are hired. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, for a long time, that was the only job that was available for us. Yeah. But now there are so many avenues that are available to black people. Right. That's why they're not trying to be a teacher. Right. What? I could be a doctor, I could be a lawyer, I could be an engineer, I could be this, I could own my own business. Yeah. I am not going to that classroom to deal with Johnny for $40,000 a year when I could just stay in school a little bit longer, or I could get a business degree and own my own stuff. Bye. And that's why they're not coming. And I'm actually not mad at that. Yeah. Because what I would rather have is two parents who work, who bring in a good money and are taking their family together, like, and raising that up. Yeah. And you know what's going to happen? The default is that child is going to be so productive. Yeah. Because he's going to see how he's being raised and what his parents are going through to get it. And so it's kind of like, I don't want to give that up just to get another black person in the classroom. So what, they can struggle? I'm just being real right now. So you want me so they can struggle, right? So they can struggle paying their bills and etc. Nah. If you can do more and be more, be more.
So I feel you on that. I want to touch on the topic of legacy a little bit, because so going back to what you were saying about legacy mindset, right? Thinking 120 years from now, what does the Jones family look like? What does the Williams family look like? That, I think, focusing on legacy, like what you've come from in the past, will help gauge where you need to be in the future. So us as a, black community, focusing on the things that have happened to us in the past, whether it's slavery or whatever, the things that we weren't able to have before, and now that we have it now, what do we do? What type of pride do we need to have over the things that we're capable of doing now? We need to have pride over the things that we're capable of doing now based off of what we didn't used to have. Okay. Now that we have those things, it's like, it's given to us. Like it's right there in front of us. We live in a day and age where everything is just immediate, right there in front of our face, with social media, with internet access, with technology. All that stuff is right now. And say if we didn't have all these things, how would we be able to carry ourselves? Like, how would we be able to live?
Right.
And understanding, okay, as a Black community, before we had all of these different freedoms and rights and everything like that, and the people that have strived to get us to this point, it builds a sense of pride about each other, about ourselves, to the point where we look at ourselves as not as a, you know, I gotta get mine, you better get yours type thing. No, how can we lift each other together? Because this is like, we're African Americans. Like, this is what we've done so far. What else can we do together? And I just really wish people would see it from that point of view, a level of pride, not just having a pride like about yourself and then, you know, you just selfish with it. Like, what could we do as a people?
So I got a question about that then. Yeah. So, because we're talking about elevation of it. So if you, because I mean, I grew up in Baltimore, you know, and I think you grew up in Maryland. In Maryland. Yeah. And you're all from PG. So you know, me and a few of my friends, we have a group account, and all of us are from Baltimore, or at least live in Baltimore, and we talk about a lot that one of my friends lives in Houston. My other friend just bought a home in North Carolina. My other friend, you know, he has, you know, they're all working. My other friend is a manager at a restaurant. And so, what is it about us? And watch this. And none of us live in Baltimore City anymore. None of us. Does that make me a sellout?
Yes.
So if you grew up in the city, grew up in an urban community, and you decide to move out of that community, are you now a sellout because you move out?
No, I don't believe it's a sense of, like, there's a balance with it, right? At the end of the day, you're an individual and you have to look out for your immediate family and the wealth of your immediate family. And focusing on your legacy and what you want better for you and your fam. So what does that mean? If you've been stuck in inner city Baltimore, or, you know, whether it's DC, whatever areas there are where those opportunities aren't available, where, you know, better opportunities aren't available, move out, get those better opportunities, but don't forget about where you came from.
How can you not forget where you came from without staying where you came from?
You go back and you teach. You go back and you educate. You don't just go and educate yourself and get yourself there and then say, okay, I made it, and you're at the top of the mountain, and you can take your legacy or family forward. You go and you learn, and you take that information and take it back to where you know what I mean, where you grew up, where people want to gain that information from. Everyone doesn't want to learn. Everyone doesn't want to grow. We always go on the Black community like, oh, you didn't come back and help us. Well, did you want to be helped? Were you in a posture that you wanted to receive education to get out of where some people don't want to get out? Some people are really, let's be frank, some people are comfortable where they are. Yes. And to get out would require them to get uncomfortable, and they're not going to do it. There's no growth. You gotta want the growth. You gotta want to take the trip. So, like, you know, that is a whole different thing. Even entrepreneurial journey, you could talk to almost any entrepreneur, any person that's trying to build a business. It's not from bottom to top. It is a circular, up and down roller coaster type journey. You may have a good day and you may have 5 bad ones. But are you willing to go on that journey to get to that end of that pinnacle of success? Or are you going to say, I'm gonna just, because complaining sometimes feels better and makes you feel like you've insulated yourself of comfort because you complained. You may not want the change that you say you want. You kind of just want to be able to complain and have the feeling of, oh, if only I could have did X, Y, and Z. But you could say that, but you didn't really want it. That makes sense.
That reminds me of the concept of, like, if you want something you never had,
you do something different.
Yeah, you got to do something you never done.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I could not have worked my job and be doing some things that I'm doing right now. There's no way. I had to leave, and I had to leave then. And I'm not even sure. Sometimes don't get that twisted. Like, oh, John, you know, he knows what he's doing. I'll be sitting there like, bruh, what did I do? I need to go back and beg for my job back, because the entrepreneurial journey is extremely hard and it's not for everybody. And I think that we've made it sexy. We've made it like everybody's talking about it. But just because everybody talks about it doesn't mean it's a journey for everybody. It's a lot of work. And some people that are on the journey don't know if it's for them. You know what I'm saying?
I want entrepreneurs to be able to reveal those things more if
Right.
they're not doing it already. Like, reveal, okay, yo, this was not easy. Like,
I do it all the time. If you follow me on social media, I will tell you.
This sucked,
you know,
at some point.
Who's that?
Some days it still sucks, but you know, there's glory in it.
Yeah, who's that guy that you follow that goes into the black community teaching them about how to own?
Jay Morrison.
Yeah. So stuff like that to me is just really dope.
But that's what I'm saying. That's to me. That's what I want. That's a part of why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I'm like I don't want to educate for myself. I want to educate for our community. So the more I learn about what my business is supposed to grow into and become, is why that's my why. Like it's not my first why. My first why is legacy. My second why is for myself, obviously, to have some kind of financial stability for the long term. And then third, also equally as important, I should say, is for my community to be able to say, okay, guys, this is how we do it. This is how we do it. And not to monetize that. Yeah. That's another thing we do as entrepreneurs. I know it seems like a genius idea. Like you're interested somewhat in real estate. Cool. You pay $500 for this 2-day course, and that determines how serious you are about it. No, I don't want to do that. That's wrong. We should openly share how to gain some level of stability and wealth for the generations to come. Like what Jay Morrison is doing from corner to corner, doing a tour where he just goes to every corner he plans to go to and teaches the basics of real estate building. Everyone should have real estate in their portfolio. Everyone. I have yet to create a portfolio of real estate, but that's a goal. But we gotta know that that's on the map of goals. We gotta be talking about it as a goal. We gotta say this is something that's important to us. And so going back to Terrence's point where he's speaking about he doesn't need everybody to be a teacher, I agree with that. But I also would say, take it a step further, say the way we keep kids around information without maybe not have to take them on a trip to go there. Bring the entrepreneur, bring the bank owner, bring the doctor to the school, the black ones. This is possible. This is how I did it. Here's my phone number. Here's my email. Here's my, Instagram account. You can contact me anytime, and I want to be a resource to you because you do not have to end up like X.
Do you think black people are scared of mentorship? Because what you're talking about is almost like mentorship. Do you think black people are scared of mentorship?
I don't think that black people are scared of it. I think black people don't care about it. It's not important to them.
From what perspective? Mentorship. Like what level? You being mentored or you being a mentor?
Both. I think this is my personal opinion. I think we as a culture are selfishly driven. So we don't want to help nobody. We may want to get help, but it's still for our own benefit. So that's still a selfish generated idea. We can't, the best time, excuse me, I'm sorry, I know this thing popped just now, but the best type of mentorship is when you can find a way, okay, I'm going to receive this mentorship from you, but I also want to add value to you as my mentor. So I don't want to just take from you. I want to find a way, like, what do you need that I can provide some level of, okay, well, this is what I did for you too. So I'm not always just receiving, I'm giving something back to you. But I think for our culture today, it's like, well, what can you give me? And what value is it to mine? And is it to me? And then we want to get there. We want them to go through everything they go through and give us the manual. As if, like we shouldn't have to go through anything. You have to go through something. Now, one thing I was thinking earlier, Mike, about what you was talking about relative to slavery, I was thinking as you were talking, if we were slaves today, if we were told like this, if we had to deal with the things that they had to deal with in the 1900s, early mid 1900s, what would happen to the way black demographic is today? Basically, my premise is, do we have what it takes to make it through to the other side like our ancestors made it through to the other side?
No.
We don't have the grit.
Nope.
We don't have the grit. We don't have the grind. We don't have the stick to it.
And we're also selfish.
And we're so
selfish.
Add all those things together, right? And I'm thinking like, yo, if we had a quarter of what they had, not even a full, just a quarter of that level of connectivity, and let's do this together. And that's like, I remember, I wasn't alive, but I would see movies where they would say, yo, somebody, is in jail or somebody died or whatever, and they would raise money as the church, like to cause they couldn't afford it on their own. So they would come together. We don't even go to church. We out here like, bro, I'm going to watch church at home. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's a different culture.
I think that attitude stems from, the mindset of like, okay, in order to want to achieve change, there has to be enough pain there, right? There has to be enough pain. We good?
Come on. Yeah, this is my mom and dad. Come on in, y'all want to? No, don't act shy now. We shooting, but we gonna do this.
Yeah, we in.
Come on in. They got the orange shirt on.
Shirts and everything.
Oh,
What's? Come on up. Come into the view. Come behind me. Come on this side. Yeah. What's happening here?
Well, my wife and I decided to look like twins today.
Why?
And so God says, let there be light, and this is the formula for it.
Wow. Okay.
oh,
Oh, y'all just catching that?
that's
Okay.
dope. And I thought I was fancy
Okay.
with my scripture. With my,
Yeah, you thought you was
with my
doing something with your what a loser hashtag.
My mark.
Mark
I'm
835.
kind of guessing here as far as the language that's on here, the top and the bottom. Is that Hebrew or is that?
Yes.
It is.
Mhm.
Cool.
And where did you get that from?
Israel.
Israel. And for everybody else, that's Israel. Are y'all going to go off and show your shirts at the mall? Are you going to go eat?
And be a light there.
And you're going to be the light at
go.
the
I'm
restaurant?
not mad at it.
That's beautiful.
Hashtag goals.
I'm telling you. Awesome. All right. Thank you guys. So, yeah, go ahead.
So going back to my point, right? When people want to, they only desire change when they've gone through enough pain to want to get there. So prime
Yes.
example, you got somebody that's overweight. They're tired of looking at the way that they're looking in the mirror, or tired of feeling the way that they're feeling. What they're going to do? They're going to strive to go to the gym,
Yeah.
right? But if you've gotten to a point where you're satisfied or content with where you are, you're not going to want to go to the gym. If you go to the gym, you just want to do it just for the gram, or you just want to do it for, just
that little bit of gram.
yeah, like you just want to do it just so it could look good or feel good at the time. But nobody's willing to go through the pain points to get to, to reach those goals. Nobody's willing to go through the consistency because they haven't gone through enough pain yet. And I think the pain that we experienced through slavery is what pushed us to get to the point of where we are today, to the point of where change was actually happening. I'm talking about Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, folks like that. It pushed them to a point where they strove for change and achieved that change. Now I feel like we're in a sense where we're so spoiled where we haven't experienced that type of pain. We're experiencing pain now in reference to the racial inequality that we're experiencing. But now that we're experiencing that pain, I don't think it's enough to push us to the equality that we deserve. And
I think to this point, I also think there are so many. There are a lot of blacks who think that they don't, because they're not in our same experiences.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to join the fight, and that also leads me to, goes back to that same thing, race versus culture, because skin tone, yeah, I'm black, like race is a social construct.
Yeah.
Like the state of America says that you're black. I might move to another country, and according to that state, I'm not black. I could be something totally different. But race is designed by the place that you're in. So in America, my skin tone determines that I'm black. But my culture is something different. Because you could be black and I could be black. We have several friends who were born in that, whose family members were born in Nigeria, but they were born here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're both American. They're both. I'm an American. He's an American, etc. But he has a different culture than I have. He has a different culture, so he's a different learned pattern of behavior than I may have. Yeah. And so therefore, his experience is different from my experience. And so there are some things that we had this thing with this, that are these things race or these things culture? Because I venture to say that some of these myths, like if you're black, you got to have a lot of debt. If you ain't got, that makes you black. So black people, you have debt, right? You rent instead of own.
Right.
That's what it means to be black. Like you wear your income. So when the more money you make, the more things you just buy. You know, you live paycheck to paycheck. And that's the one thing that I need to work on, because I right now I do think I live almost paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
You know, if you're black, you got to use slang, because if you don't use slang,
Yeah.
You're not black enough.
you're not black.
Right.
Remember the episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when Carlton and Will were trying to join the fraternity? This is back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And the guy said, yeah, we want you, Will, but we don't want him with that Brooks Brothers outfit on.
Right.
Because he's not black enough.
Right.
And Carlton had all these things. I'm not black because what? I'm not black because, you know, I do these things, and this doesn't make me black. Well, you know, that here we are 20 years later, and it's still the same thing.
Things happening. Yeah.
You know, if you eat healthy, like you talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
If I do prefer, like my wife just became vegan, and I make a lot of jokes, but right now she's on this. She's 4 weeks in, and she says she's really. And I'm like, I'm making all these jokes, but I'm like, when you think about it, she's choosing to eat healthier, so she could live longer.
Right.
So she could live longer.
Right.
You know, does that make her not black anymore because she's not quick to go pick up a chicken box and some wings and some fries, and that's not what her go-to?
Yeah.
Do these things really make us black, or is this just what we think is our culture?
But you know, I'm sorry, I was going to say it. You go ahead.
All right.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
I think we need to get to a point where we need to change what our perspective of our culture is, instead of what media decides to feed us. If we get to the point where we can change, not just changing our culture comes down to changing our morals and what we consider right and wrong. What's right is having good credit. What's right is having investments. What's right is, you know what I'm saying, having generational wealth. You know, instead of, you know, thinking in the mindset, oh, what's right, I gotta have the flashiest clothes on, the flashiest shoes and stuff like that. If we can get to that point to realize why we need to change our morals in that mindset to think about longevity instead of right now, I think that would be a good step in the right direction.
Yeah. So what I actually kind of want to take it a step further than what you were saying, but I agree with what you're saying as well. I also think that we're short-sighted. We are short-sighted. So we can only see, like, I have money now, I want to spend it now. Yep. I got a bonus, I want to spend the bonus. I want this, so I'll go into debt for it. It's a vision. It's a vision conversation. And it's also what is the value that you have? You know, how do you view yourself as far as value is concerned? Is your value wrapped in how people view you, or what you actually view of yourself?
And you remember, so because you and I went to Towson. And then
John and Terrence went to Towson.
Yeah, John and Terrence went to Towson. But you went to Eastern Shore.
And Mike went to Eastern Shore.
And so when people at Eastern Shore, when they got up, because I remember at Towson we would go to campus, and I mean I commuted, but John, you did on campus.
I was on campus.
Yeah, but people they would get up, they would roll out of bed, they would brush their teeth, take a shower, and throw whatever on, and just go to class.
Oh yeah.
But when we would take trips to Morgan, it was like a fashion show.
Yeah.
It was like this is not me knocking Morgan. I'm putting out a parallel perspective. Yeah. It was a fashion show. What does he have on? What does he have on? While at Towson, it was just like, no one really cares what you have on. Like, I'm going to this class, and then if I can, I'm going right back to this bed. Like, I'm not putting anything on. Like,
what's funny about that is that even amongst us, I'm not gonna speak for everybody that was at Towson, but I know for me, I still cared about what I wore, even though my teacher didn't care. Most people in my class were white, but I cared because I was like, oh, does this match, and do I have this? Because you have a certain lens that you're like, yo, I think I should look like this, as if it matters. What I want to say to that is, we don't know who we are. We don't know. We're trying so hard to fit a mold. We're trying so hard to fit in. We're trying so hard to be cool and be this and that. And the more the more I started to discover who I was, like I said, leaving my job started opening that door for me of like, who is John? It's so funny. You live for 30 something years, but you don't really know who you are. You don't really know because you don't really search it out because you're kind of like, yo, I am who people think I am versus who I actually am. So people interpret me as I mean, jokingly, you may not think of me this way, but fashionable, this person that's all into fashion and all that. And like, the more I started to discover who I was, I don't really care about that. Like, I literally now wear shirts and clothes just to wear shirts and clothes because I know I got to wear something when I leave my house. But before, it was like, I got to have this out and I would iron it. And this is a different pride that I took into that versus now I'm like, man, that don't matter. What I drive used to matter. Now, that don't matter. Like, the things that I'm telling you, it may seem like crazy because I still have to own the car that I signed the note to say I have to own it. Right. And I'm going to keep driving it because I signed the note to say I would, I ain't going to just have it sitting there not being used. But the bottom line is the things that matter to me are starting to surface, and the things that I thought mattered to me are finally being dismantled. And until the Black community starts doing that on an individual basis and starts to have a lens of how can we make sure our legacy is protected, and that culturally we're more concerned with having our own properties and our own assets or what have you. Because let's think about it for one real quick. When the recession, or not recessions, we can talk about the recession, but that's separate. Yeah. When they shut the government down and people had to stand in line for food that had jobs from the government but had no savings. Had no savings of any kind. Now, what's funny about all of that is you talk about it now, it's like water under the bridge. No one thinks about it anymore. But at the end of the day, at any moment, my wife could lose her job. I could lose my job. You could lose your job. Yeah. And what have you built and constructed to make sure you have sustainability beyond what they have been able to say, okay, this is what you are allotted in terms of pay?
So the average, I looked it up some time ago. I think it was beginning of this year, but the average person has like $2,000 in their bank account.
Yeah. But
yes.
Actually,
that's true.
I know the exact amount.
Yeah.
It is. I thought it was 2,000.
The average Black person.
That's
correct.
The median Black person, and actually, I'm gonna talk about I don't want to but I'm talking about the median Black of wealth. Actually went down 75% from 2003 to 2013. We wealth in Black communities, and mind you, John, that's even with us getting more jobs, right? Having better access to income. The amount of wealth in the Black community, the median, is literally $1,600.
Why that is because no matter how much more money you get, you'll never close that. You'll never change the gap closure because you'll always live to your means.
Yeah.
So if you're making 80,000, you're living to 60 or 70,000, you're still feel like you're broke because you are.
Yeah.
Until we say, all right, make 80, but I only spend or live around a $20,000 to $25,000 mark. Then you can start to attribute and think about, okay, I'm saving money and gaining wealth. But because and it's something I'm just now really taking more serious account for. Yeah. So I have to for my mind and my mindset and my last name for my family, I have to generate more cash flow. Yeah. To basically offset how much we're spending out. I have to figure that out. And the reality is, all of us do. Yeah. We just don't think about it because we are basically living every single day, day to day, with everything's getting handled as far as we think. Yeah. But the moment that money, because everything's a stream when it comes to money. When that stream is closed, what happens? Everybody, when it did happen, the recession did happen, everybody stopped spending. And that's why the government had to release, what was it called? The stimulus package. Yeah. And who they give it to? Black people. Why? Because they knew we spent it. So we gotta look at what they know. They were so sure of the stimulus package working because they knew who to give it to. That's crazy. Yeah. They were like, yo, we'll just give the money. We'll know to spend it. This is who you are. They're not going to invest it. They're not going to withhold it. They're going to spend that money as soon as we give it to them. So here's the money. Go spend it. Do what you do best, Black people. Go spend. So when this is why, to me, this podcast is probably one of the most important conversations I've had in a long time, because rarely do we say, what are we doing? And have an evaluation.
And this is why it's important, because if you're listening to this and you think we were going to talk about a lot of other things, the reason why we're not is because, yes, we're competing against social injustice. Yes, we're competing against Black on Black crime. Yet we know that. some of those things are out of our hand. But what we're talking about is things that we're actually competing against ourselves.
Yes.
We're shooting ourselves in the foot. And that's the one thing that we can't blame on slavery.
Yeah.
We can't blame that on racism. We're doing it ourselves, and we have the ability, especially with being 2019, to come up out of that. And that's a mentality change.
Yeah.
We have to literally change our mindset about. And I'm 37 years old, and I'm telling you, I'm late in the game, because if my mindset was how it was 10 years ago, I would be way farther than I am right now. You know, but again, a lot of that is just surrounding yourself with people who are also in this mindset as well.
Yeah.
You know, and so sometimes
and you have to move with some level of urgency because of how far behind we are.
Yeah.
Like we have to be able to say, okay, now I am behind. I realize I'm behind. Now what will I do now?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a constant. That question is not a question of today or just for today. That's a question every single day.
Mm-hmm.
What do I do now? What do I do now? And keeping that
What's
pressure,
next? Next?
Keeping that pressure over. Like I think about people like Kevin Hart, right? Kevin Hart is super wealthy. Why does he still grind hard? He has no need.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, like, he has reached in all of our minds the pinnacle of success, yet you still see him he's doing a Chase commercial, he's doing 2 to 3 movies, he's doing a book deal, he has released a pill that like this for, you know, energy levels. He's in every,
preparing for another tour.
For another tour. He's in every, he does a podcast, Sirius XM, 2 hours. It was 1 hour, now it's 2.
Mm-hmm.
He's in everything because there's a realization that is, I got to go after it because the window of opportunity is still open for me. I'm going to capitalize on it.
Every moment I get.
Every moment of every single day. Why, when you're a multimillionaire, are you moving at that level of speed and I am a barely thousandaire and moving so slow? There's a interesting thing about it that says, yo, something's wrong with not Kevin Hart. Something's wrong with me. There's an ingrained thing that says, no, John, you're fine. You're good. You have a house. You have a car. You have a wife. You have a kid. There's no need for you. There's something flowing in there. You know what I mean? In the atmosphere that says, just relax.
It's a matter of like being comfortable. So going back to what you were saying about the recession and then how we were giving all this money and whatever like that. They knew that the government, whoever, they knew that we would spend it and not invest it, because we were the ones hurting. We were the ones hurting so much, where we, as soon as we got a glimpse of a way to get out of that and be comfortable, we would use it. We would take that opportunity, but we stopped at being comfortable. Once we got comfortable, that was it.
That's the goal for us.
Yeah. To be comfortable.
Comfortable is the goal for us. And the thing about what I think is the quest of entrepreneurship and the quest of making money. And the idea of like having wealth, that will require being incredibly uncomfortable all the time. Like my sister says sometimes, get comfortable, being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
That has to be the mindset. We got to get comfortable staying in an uncomfortable situation. So that means putting yourself around people that are, Grant Cardone says this in his books all the time. He says, if you're the smartest person in the room, that's the problem. You got to constantly be in a room where you are the dumbest person in the room so you can grow to attain the knowledge of the smartest person in the room. And then once you've gained that knowledge, you put yourself in another bigger room and become the dumb person again.
Yeah.
But we like to be the smart person and stay the smart person. And so to me, that's why the posture of my life right now is, John, you gotta stay hungry. You gotta be like, isolate yourself in terms of like learning what you need to learn, read everything you can get your hands on, listen to every podcast you can, look at every YouTube clip that you can. Do everything you can knowledge-wise to grow your knowledge base. Meet as many people as you can, so you can say like you're learning, you're developing, you're growing from every situation every day.
And then you stay hungry by not forgetting where you came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And going back.
Man.
Yeah.
Going back, like that's the biggest. To me, that's the biggest part of all of this, because it can all be in vain. If I go to the top, man, and just let's say I do make $1 million by the next 2-3 years, what difference does it make if I made $1 million? That won't change the world.
Yeah,
that won't change my community. That'll just change me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go back to struggle. Like remembering what the struggle was like. It's just like, nah, bro, I'm not trying to go back to that. What do I have to do to keep moving forward? Because the moment that we stay stagnant, that's when we're moving backwards.
Stagnant water stinks.
Yeah.
Say what?
Stagnant water stinks. You can't stay stagnant.
That's good. I never heard that one.
That's true.
That sounds like an old country.
That sound like a grandpa. That was a
States,
grandpa kind of,
Yeah.
move. So today, man, we discussed a lot as far as the state of Black America, the men in the Black America, women in Black America. I think this was a great conversation. Because I feel like we're touching on things that could change the trajectory of who we are as a people. We need to change the minds of who we are. And what I believe is it starts in our mental. Before we could ever exude anything or be able to create any energy towards changing anything. Yeah. If it's not led first by our hearts and our minds, because it has to be something that's like it's got to be something that's like a battery. Like it's like it charges the whole car. You know what I'm saying? And it runs the whole vehicle, the engine, if you will, that runs the whole vehicle. Like we got to be that way about changing our culture. And we got to do it together. These kind of conversations, to me, it's like if you're a fan of Relentlessly Real podcast, obviously this is only the 3rd episode, but who cares? Tell other people about this episode. Get them thinking in the same way. Have conversations about it in your living room, in your dining room. Have conversations. We don't even do that anymore. Yeah. I mean, I know sometimes we don't even sit in the dining room no more with our family members. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the basement. You in the
we
top.
watching TV or watching a movie or something like that in the living room.
And not listening to, not even talking to each other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, there's really, if you really stop and think about it, there's no real, like, mystery why we are where we are as a people. Like, we don't even try to start generating that kind of conversation, if you will, about it. So guys, thank you so much for listening. And before we even wrap anything up, Terrence is going to do our real talk wrap up about everything we talked about today.
So I got a question. Why is being an African American mean you're part of the best culture in America? Why is being black mean you're part of you are if you're black, you are the part of the best race and the best culture in America? You don't have to answer.
I'm about to say I don't know.
It's not.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, you're not. It's not. Being black, yes, that's right, I said it. It's not the best culture in America. I'm a black man and I said it. It's not. So they say numbers don't lie. Check the school board. Okay, let's look at the numbers. According to the New York Times, for every $100 in a white family wealth, black families hold just $5.04. According to the Economic Policy Institute, found that more than 1 in 4 black households have 0 or negative net worth, compared to just less than 1 in 10 white families without wealth. The Institute policy showed that between 1983 and 2013, the wealth of the median black household declined 75%, from $6,800 to only $1,700. While at the same time, the wealth for the median white household increased 14% to $116,000. We have the lowest life expectancy among all races at 75.3 years, while almost every other race is at 79 or higher. Shout out to the Asians who are living to at least 87. I want to know what they're doing.
Yeah. That rice and chicken, bro. Go ahead.
Now, while 29% of us have at least a high school diploma, which is higher than any other race, only 16% of us are graduating from college with a college degree. That's the second lowest, only above Hispanics. And despite what 45 may tell you, blacks still have the highest unemployment rate at 6.1%. We're the only group in America that's above 5%. Blacks represent 12% of the U.S. adult population, but 33% of the prison population. Whites make up 64%, but only 30% of the prison population. And naturally, I understand, we know there's significant injustice when it comes to race and criminal justice system. But listen, those are the numbers. So I ask you again, are we the greatest culture in America? No. How can we be? The majority of us could give 2 craps about stocks and bonds, nor even know what one is. Most of us don't invest in anything besides our mortgage, and even that's shaky. We don't even invest in our own community. Instead of residual wealth, instead of generational wealth, we lobby for situational wealth. Please, most of us only have hypothetical wealth. If I hear one more when I get rich post, I'm going to shoot myself. We spend more than we earn, we buy more than we sell, we rent more than we own, we ride around in nice cars, but living in straight hell. We are not the greatest culture in America. But we can be. Newsflash, your skin tone does not determine who you are. But your culture might. Culture is learned patterns of behavior, and behavior is a summation of habits. You're a liar because you habitually lie. You're a thief because you habitually steal. It's just simple math. So let's unlearn some stuff, y'all. Let's unlearn not paying your bills on time. Let's unlearn not understanding what a 401k, what stock market is, what mutual funds and investments. Let's forget about that $70,000 or $80,000 car until you've actually paid off the $15,000 one you already drive. Let's learn about the best jobs with the most stability and teach our children how to go for those jobs. Let's make sure our loved ones have access to health care and actually go to the doctors regularly and they actually listen so that they can live longer. Listen, we already know that the judicial system is biased. Let's not even fool around with committing crimes then, so that we don't have to even get a first-hand account of how biased it really is. We can do two things at once. While they're working on prison reform, let's just work on not committing crimes and not having to go in the first place. Let's just be more. Let's just be more. Like, a huge part of our predicament was not because of us. I understand that. Slavery has nothing to do with us. I get that. However, last time I go to my mailbox, I didn't see my reparation check. Did you?
Nope.
I ain't seen no check. All right. So there's no sense in me waiting to be great. Let's just be great. For goodness sakes, I do not want to wait for Black Panther 2 to come out to be proud of my people. Let's not talk great. Let's walk great. Let's really give our children a reason to hold their fist up high, drop their head low, and say, 'cause I'm black, y'all. Yes, I'm black, y'all. Yes, I'm blackity black, and I'm black, y'all. Shout out to CB4.
Wakanda forever. Nah, man, that was great, T. That was great. The facts are the facts, man.
Facts are facts, man.
And the thing about it, I'm not jumping back into it, but I really appreciate you just giving the facts, because the facts you can't. That's not opinion. That's not skewed. That's just facts.
Facts don't lie.
The facts don't lie. So thank you guys again for tuning in to Relentlessly Real podcast. We are really appreciative of you guys supporting us. And if you could just spread the word about us, we would greatly, greatly appreciate it. We know that we're just starting out, but we also know we could be as big as you allow us to be. So the more people you tell about this podcast, the more people you get hooked on it, the more we can grow our listeners and maybe even be bigger than we thought we could even be. Right. It's all, as long as we do as a community, guys, it doesn't matter. Let's do this together. You guys, make sure you're following our Instagram account. It's a Relentlessly Real podcast. Again, it's a Relentlessly Real podcast. And if you ever want to send us any topics you want us to discuss, we are more than willing to talk about it. And if you want to do that, you can send it to relentlesslyrealpodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's relentlesslyrealpodcast@gmail.com.
And subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, like y'all don't want to push that subscribe
subscribers,
button?
man.
So, and also, man, I was looking at the Instagram account. We had 93, 94 followers. Why are we not over 150,000 followers by now? What happened?
We can do it.
What happened? So anyway, follow us on Instagram, follow us on YouTube, follow us anywhere we're allowed to be followed, okay? Just follow us. We love you guys. I'm John.
Just don't come to my house.
Well, yeah, don't follow me home, 'cause you'll get beat. my name is John.
Terrence.
And Mike.
And you will listen to Relentlessly Real Podcast.
Every day is a second chance, a new